Okay, we're talking about Ghibli Gate, or Ghibli Gate. I think Ghibli Gate sounds better. Basically what happened is last weekend, OpenAI released their new image gen platform. To showcase this platform, they used a bunch of images that they turned into the style of Studio Ghibli. And people were very upset about that because Studio Ghibli is known for hand-drawn, very, very human work. Every single frame is hand-drawn. They take a lot of pride in it. They try to use as little computers and machinery as possible to make their films. And, the work shows in the final product. And Miyazaki, the main creator of this style, he has, been very kind of vocal against AI, doesn't really love it, as well as a lot of other artists don't love it. I used to be one of them, and that's kind of why I wanted to talk about this, because I'm in a sort of uniquely weird position on the middle of this. And so while the debate started with, should people be able to just copy anyone's style? And then the main argument, which was how did they even train their AI to understand the style of Ghibli, which seems to be legal foul play. And again, that's an age-old argument with AI in general and how they're training their models and getting their tools and stuff. So then that spiraled into the greater AI art argument, which is insufferable to say the least, and has basically once again exposed the two worst types of people on the internet. And that's what we're going to talk about today. It's Ghibli Gate, folks. It's going to be crazy. So a little background on me. I'm not going to go too far into this, but basically I've been an artist all my life. Probably drew my first picture at 7. Writing, music, just about most types of art, I've done it. I'm not going to go through the pains of showing you everything I've done and trying to prove that, because most people will negate the fact I did that anyway because I use AI. I started using AI just out of a freak weird hobby, and then it kind of also sort of turned into a career. And that is why I feel kind of qualified to talk about this, because I used to be terminally anti-AI, and now I'm sort of agnostic, lukewarm anti-AI, and also kind of pro-AI in a lot of ways. But nevertheless, my background, I've been doing art for a long time. I consider myself an artist. That's how I self-identify, and I love it. It's the only thing I've really ever been good at. I'm pretty much functionally useless in the real world. So yeah, artist. That's what I am. The thing I've noticed about being an artist is a lot of pressure on you to do this or that, or to do things a certain way. And a lot of people have a lot of opinions about how stuff is made, but most of the time that's just other artists. And it's easy to be so far in that you're out. I have lived in the art, music world, film world for a long time now. Most of the people I know are artists. I feel like I've got a pretty good gauge on how they feel about this. And yeah, so I'm an artist, so that's why I'm talking about this. The main kind of ideas on both sides of this debate are pretty simple. On one side, you have people saying, well, what's the point of copywriting anything if some fucking supercomputer can just take it all? And on the other side, you have people saying, well, art should be even more democratized and we should have more freedom and it should be accessible for everybody. And it's very, very interesting, given the two sides, the positions they take on this argument versus all the other arguments that they're in and the side they take on those. And I will get into that later. But a lot of it, like everything, turns into a left-right collectivist versus individualist sort of political paradigm that we love to do with every fucking thing in America now. And that can be tiresome and boring, and I promise you, I'm not going to go into all that, but it will be impossible not to touch on that. And so I do just think, all in all, the AI art debate is actually really fascinating, and it's not over. It's not done yet. There's still stuff to be talked about. There's still stuff to be debated. There's still stuff to do. You see, this debate is really important because really the fate of everything we knew about art and how it's created and who creates it and why and how we consume it, all of that is probably about to change, and most people really fucking hate that fact, and I definitely do too. However, my general thought is what a lot of people blame AI companies for, they should actually be mad at social media companies and just really tech bros in general, and we will get into them as well. But the reason I'm talking about this is because I myself go back and forth on what the ethics and the morality of it is, and should I even use AI at all, or should I just go back to, just doing handmade art or whatever the fuck that means. And also, where is the line? Where is too much technology discount something from actually being art? I find the whole debate of, is AI really real art? It's fucking stupid. It makes no sense. My general philosophy on art is it's just something that engages your senses, one of the five senses, and elicits an emotional response of some kind, whether it's, anger, happiness, joy, wonder, anything like that. But that's what art is, and it really is in the eye of the beholder, which is why people say art is subjective. And I don't really know about that, and that's a deeper philosophy thing that we're not really going to get into. But my general thought is, the whole point of is AI art, real art or not, fucking completely moot and not really worth doing and or engaging with, because it's just not that interesting of a debate, because AI art exists. If something exists, it's just like, what the fuck are you going to do? You know what I mean? Like, it's here. It's not going away. So some people maybe want that, and sometimes I think maybe I would, snap it out of existence if I could, and I had the Thanos gloves and shit, but I don't. So here I am in the middle of a parking lot talking about this shit. Okay, we're gonna get into the meat and potatoes of this debate here. These are the only two pieces of art, like wall art, that I own. I've never hung them. I keep them for sentimental reasons. The frames are a little banged up, but I love them. I think I look at them, I meditate with them, and I bring that up because I myself, my use of AI is in film, and I try to make interesting videos that normally would just be way out of my budget. However, I do videography and stuff like that with real cameras, and I have for a long time, and I've been an editor for a long time, and it's really good for me to be able to edit new stuff every single day, and AI allows me to do that. But the main thing I want to talk about is the sort of umbrella that everybody puts around AI art and art in general. See, the thing about people that draw and paint and hang stuff on walls is they have sort of like capitalized. They're just like, yeah, I make art, and it's like, well, okay, you make a painting, and it's an annoying distinction, but like, I don't feel like you can effectively navigate these waters without making that distinction. And with AI, it's the same thing. A lot of people use AI art, but like, they're artists in other fields already. They already know how to do this stuff. They're using it as an extra tool. Now, there are people that just step in and say, like, fucking, do my life in the style of Ghibli. And those people are kind of insufferable. And that type of art is, it's the logical conclusion of the internet-like slot machine hellscape that we've all lived through for the past 15 years, since basically Facebook became really, really popular, and Twitter. And so, there are a lot of AI artists that strictly just use AI, and they've never done anything in the real world before that. There are a lot of people that have been artists in the real world for a long time, like myself, and then step into it because it's a new, exciting thing. And they are definitely not the same. And AI film, I just want to clear this up, is there is no tool where you can just like type in make me a movie like this, and it just spits out a movie. It just doesn't work. 60% of making an AI film is the exact same as making a real film in terms of pre and post production. Albeit the production part is a huge chunk, but like, I could go all day about arguing why AI in film is actually a really good thing, but I'm not going to do that, because also at the same time, the AI stuff with me is a hobby, and I don't really include it in any other of my artwork or art that I make. It's like not wanting the stuffing to touch the mashed potatoes type thing. I don't know why. I just feel like I still don't trust AI for the most part, even though I'm dabbling around in it and messing with it. I still don't trust it, and I just don't. I'm not ready to intermingle the real with the AI. This might be like the first thing I ever do it with, but I'm literally recording this on a 6-year-old Samsung and my other fucking cell phone because I don't have my gear right now. So anyway, yeah, AI art is not. There's many different iterations of it. What I'm going to be talking about in this video with AI art is basically the people that are just sort of stepping into it just now. Because what's really surprising to me is I look at the amount of people that this Ghibli thing like woke up and they think like this is the cutting edge of AI. like image generation stuff has been around for a couple years now, and I was looking at the Ghibli stuff and the other open AI stuff that they've had, and it's like it's cool, but like Midjourney still, even frames that Runway does, like, I don't know, like, I just wasn't, even Grok, like, they're all pretty impressive, but it's like, there's a lot of people that are like, oh my god, AI can make images now in certain styles, and that's really funny to me. However, there's now a new crop of people looking into AI thinking, oh, how can I make money off this? And they're gonna flood the avenues that people have already done that with. They're gonna go in there and be like, hey, I can make money off this too, even though 1,000 fucking people already have, and it's already skewed content creators payouts and stuff like that, and it's that's AI slop. That's a whole other argument though. But I just wanted to make the distinction between AI art, which is, I guess, shit that you would print out and hang on your wall or just have in your computer, versus AI film, which is a very different thing and a whole can of worms I'm not even going to go into. So anyway. So the people on the anti-AI side are largely people who draw. They make webcomics. Recently learned the term Rule 34 art. Look that up if you want. But it's largely true. A lot of purple wolves with huge uncircumcised dicks. A lot of fan art. A lot of anime type art. And this stuff has been kind of made and proliferated through the internet. It's a style that's become very, very popular, but it's because of the internet, because of the old school kind of art sites like DeviantArt and things like that. And that's largely the economy of people who feel the most threatened by AI. Now, there is a smaller contingent of people that work in Hollywood that are like concept artists or I guess matte painters, but like they kind of lost that war a while ago. So I'll just say concept artists. And they also have a problem with AI because they're like, oh my god, AI could never do what I do, and things are automatically better because it was made with human hands. Now, I will point out my own bias and say that I tend to side with this side a little bit more, because I have a strong held belief that there's something to be said for human hands touching the thing. And sort of the closer that the art itself is to a human and physical energy and like metaphysical energies being transferred through to that thing is pretty much what's going to make that art better. And it's going to make the feeling of receiving that art different. I don't know how. I have no science to back this up. It's just a feeling, but a lot of times feelings are correct. And so with these people, though, the problem is many of them just do and draw shit that has been done 1 trillion times before. Now, I understand All art is stolen. Everything's inspiration. It's just a big fucking ladder that keeps climbing up itself. But with these people in particular, I've seen so many of these people that basically draw shit that looks like Zim or like Invader Zim, and they like sell prints for like $200, which is fucking wild to me. And as you've seen, like, I don't own a lot of wall art, so like I would just never pay that much. And like at the highest version of this, you have high art or fine art or whatever it's called, and that's just money laundering for billionaires. And so like this side seems to have this like rooted idea that they are more moral than the other side, and that they deserve to get paid because they are actual humans selling their art, despite the demand for the art, the supply of the art. And also, this falls into a deeper thing that I see tons of artists do, to where they seem to think they get paid for the amount of work they put into something. And that's so fucking dumb. Like, that's so fucking dumb and untrue. It's not true with music. It's really not true with anything. It will determine in your own mind how much you should be paid, but actually has very little bearing on how much you are paid. Because I've seen people that just perfectionism themselves to death and toil away at something they think is so important, and like it's just not that good at the end, and they're like, well, what the fuck, all art is dead and the universe isn't doing it right because people didn't buy my thing. And it's just like, yeah man, it doesn't work that way. And furthermore, art was never supposed to be sold. Art is far older than capitalism is. They've never really gotten along well. Art has definitely proliferated and benefited under capitalism. I don't see how anybody could say it hasn't. However, I do think we are close to a turning point because of these things. But the only reason we think we're at a turning point is because we've lived inside of the paradigm of how art is sold in capitalism. And but artists have always needed patrons. We've never really had a mandate to exist just for being artists alone. The universe doesn't care. Most people think our stuff is gay and unimportant. And we've always had to fight for ourselves. We've always had to, kind of carve our own path. And as somebody who's made their living off of art for a little while, like, it's very hard to do. And there are many times that I just wish I could fucking be a tech bro, or I could be like a math brain person, or just like a mechanic guy or whatever. But I don't have those skills. I've even tried, but it's just like, I know what the fuck I'm put on this earth to do, and it's to make art. And the universe or God or whatever you want to call it has showed me that plenty of times. So I'm very sympathetic to a lot of the people on the art side that are just like, yo man, this is all the fuck I know how to do, and now some asshole who already makes $200,000 a year just invented a machine to basically do what I do and put me out of a job. And I sympathize with that. I totally understand. It's frustrating, it's scary, and it doesn't feel fair. It just flat out doesn't feel fair. However, most of the people complaining about AI taking jobs, you don't have a job. Like, if you don't make your living at this, what are you complaining about? That, like, you're not ever going to be able to make a living at it? Because I don't think that's true either. It's just a bunch of people who are like, and I'm going to put this part of this video in there. And it's scathing and it's negative and it's mean, but there's a lot of truth in it. What you find on the artist side is a lot of people that just genuinely never tried anything else. And this is what I was talking earlier about button pressers. There are a lot of people that want the thing that artists have. There are a lot of people that want the recognition and the respect that artists get. And they hate that they don't have it. And like, some people get their respect and recognition through other ways in their career, the works they do for people in their community and stuff like that. But artists get a specific kind of admiration that a lot of people, especially young people, really, really seek. And it's because we have had things marketed to us our whole lives for decades and decades that artists are these unique, unicorn, special people, and we're just the best, and blah, blah, blah. And what we found is that, like, a large number of artists are actually just fucking mentally ill. And they are creeps and perverts and degenerates, and we've lost a lot of faith in the sort of artist class. and cultural class. And because, you know, they have intermingled with capitalism and they've started their own corporations and they have become the monster that they once decried and went against. And, you know, so people just don't give a fuck about artists as much anymore because, you know, the reason is like we ceded that to content. You know, once we called art content, the war was over. Like, that was a plain recognition that, like, okay, well, artists, us as artists, if we're gonna call our own shit content, then we are opting to use the language of the tech bro and the program or the social media app that they put us on. When we cede that and we use their language and we talk like they talk and start thinking like they think, that is why things are getting worse. AI is simply a symptom of that, but what's been going on has been going on for about 10 years now. So yeah, so the weeb people, the people that make the porn and the webtoons and stuff like that, here's the next thing I'm gonna say. Y'all gotta stop acting like you're fucking Da Vinci because you can draw some 8-bit pixel MS Paint shit. Like, it's not really that special. It's really not that hard to do. There's a lot of really great artists, like the concept artists and stuff I see in the film industry. Like, they should be mad. Like, they for sure have a reason to be mad here. Because their job's not gonna exist nearly in the capacity that it was. Matte painters still exist. Painters that make the movie posters still exist. Somewhere out there, there's a dude that knows how to fucking print a laser disc, but they're just not the culturally used important thing anymore. And a lot of you people that are so mad at AI never once stopped to think if you were actually all that important or not. You never once stopped to think, like, does the world need another purple wolf with a huge uncircumcised dick? Like, am I really contributing a lot to the world here? And if drawing the purple wolves with the dicks is your thing, by all means, draw them. If it's coming from your heart, I guess, you know, like, do what you gotta do with it. But once you enter into the realm where you want to make this your career and you want to play the capitalist game, well, you can't be mad that capitalism's just gonna capitalism. And, like, yeah, of course, it's gonna try and put you out of a job because the people don't like you. And the other thing is about this side of the fence is you go down and look at all of the profile pictures of these people that are making these arguments. Look in their bio, you will see they, them pronouns, you will see trans, you know, LGBTQ plus flag, and free Palestine. Like, they're pretty much lefty across the board. Not a shocker. A lot of artists skew left. It just comes with the territory. That's a whole separate video. But they're hyper conservative about this one thing. And most people are actually really conservative about things that they care about. I've seen time and time again artists that, like, would punch you in the face for saying you like Donald Trump, and they're lefty in every other regard, but when it comes to their little art form or hobby or passion changing, then they understand the nuance of it and understand how, like, oh, well, we gotta, like, not progress forward with this. Because then on the other side, you have the tech bros that are saying, well, like, well, this is progress. This is just progress of art. And the thing is, technology and art have always done this dance. You know, the reason film and Hollywood became a thing was because a bunch of people went west to try and escape the patent that Thomas Edison had on it. And so technology has always done it. Look into why DVDs won over, what was it? DivX, I think. Why Blu-ray won over HD DVD. Why VHS won over Laserdisc. That's just all because porn shows it. And so I look at all these people who make all this stuff and they hate these tech bros so much and they don't want anything to progress, but they don't want it to progress from this point on. Because unless the tech bros had done their thing, you guys wouldn't have the websites to share your shit and to share the fucking terrible pseudo CP anime you guys all love. Like, you guys have thrived on the internet and in these companies that still have, like I was talking about before, Like, they're not helpful to the environment. They're not that fucking nice for the environment. But you didn't care because it allowed you to make your art. But now that other people have a way to make their art, you're mad and everything needs to stop. Next part. This type of person, the they them pronoun, typical sort of younger internet lefty, they invented the term a few years back called ableism, which is fucking hilarious, which just basically means that, like, if you're able to do a thing and another person isn't, that's your sort of punching down privilege on them or whatever. However, what has recently been exposed is, like, they've just told people to pick up a pen. Now, there is a lot of irony in this because it's kind of a reverse flip of the learn to code thing, of which we all fucking hate tech bros so much for saying, and rightfully so. But the pick up a pen thing, it's the exact same phrase. Like, it's the exact same phrase. It's the exact same idea. Is just like, well, just get good, bro. Like, these motherfuckers probably have an excuse for everything else in their life. I have seen artists like this, I've known them personally, that, like, will, like, have falling outs with their best friends and roommates, like, over who does the dishes. Like, these are the most easily offended, like, I've got an excuse for everything, I'm a victim in every single possible way. And then when it comes to people that are like, well, yeah, like, art's really hard for me and it's just hard for me to learn and I don't know how to do it, they're just like, well, get good. Just fucking get good. What's the problem? Pick up a pen. And that's really funny to me. I think that's a really funny, like, that's why this issue is so interesting, because it's like, politically, people on the lefty side are very conservative on this issue, and people on the tech bro righty side are very lefty and liberal on this issue. So, yeah, so I think that's basically most of the encapsulation of the one argument on the anti-AI side, which is that it's just anti-human. We should be prioritizing humans and art over everything. Art is automatically better because it was made with the human. And yeah, basically, if you're a tech bro, you're a piece of shit. If you use AI, you're a piece of shit. Your art isn't real if you use AI. And you should pick up a pen. And if art was hard for you to learn, that's your own fault. And you shouldn't just be able to build a machine to get your way out of it, despite the fact that we quite literally do that with everything else. They make this argument of like, well, so what, I can microwave a fucking Hot Pocket and now I can say I'm a chef? It's like, no, but you did eat, didn't you? Like, no, it's not the same. Like, no one's looking at a dude who made a Ghibli meme as like Da Vinci. No one's like stopping the presses for that. It is the most disposable, ignorable, scroll pastable style of art in the world. But it is still art. Someone enjoys it. Somewhere out there, someone, that's their favorite picture they've ever seen. So yeah, these people, very, very insufferable. You've probably seen tweets that I've put up. But at the same time, I do feel for them, and I understand it. It doesn't feel right. It doesn't feel good. And I myself am largely anti-tech bro, for the most part. And I'm going to get into that right now.
Perhaps one of AI's greatest successes is extinguishing the horde of useless parasites that incorrectly fashion the title artist upon their empty, meager lives. An entire spent doodling species has created an addict consumer, self-educated by YouTube tutorials, and a sparse year or two in adolescence spent absent-mindedly doodling has created a generation of mediocre talents. They cling desperately to a deviant art here and Instagram there, all dedicated to displaying forgettable content upheld by the shallow praise of like-minded flatulent creators, all stuck inside the same bubble prison of insecurity. Bandied together out of a workers' union of scarcity, these people operate on a single vibrating frequency of unfulfilled hunger paired with delusion. They all mutually scream praise at their peers, like fat women around the watercolor, giving out compliments with the barest sheen of insincerity in hopes of a fair trade. Ultimately, trading sentiments is the practice of the mediocre. In a world where you are the insignificant mote, drifting in the stone floor cracks of an arena stomped on by giants, you make friends with the other flotsam out of mutual survival instinct. The promise of creativity would, on paper, demand a level of objective scale and hierarchy in denoting the quality and significance of one's work. Rubbing shoulders with one another, among the kicking stones and muttering about how one day they'll be up on stage to be seen by the world, yet simultaneously claiming how much better they are, how much cooler it is to be an unknown, wearing their insignificance with pride until they encounter the barest morsel of wet shit to suck the moisture out of desperately. Whether it be a few $100s or one fleeting viral post, they can tout advertisements of their work onto like parasitic barnacles. Like reluctant prostitutes, you'll find that many of these self-fashioned creators will resort to pornography if they truly can't find any income from the proper audience. With this imposition, they will choose between two paths, shamefully hiding their work under an alt or embracing it fully. The latter choice will degenerate them into one of the many fallen products of modernity, fashioning BIPOC queer flags and they-them handles onto their identity, like communist dictators pinning a wall of medals onto their chest. The motifs of leftist philosophy offer many mental refuges from the shame of underachievement. Through this refuge, they can safely find comfort in their own poverty because money is bad, and everyone who makes money is quiet, lonely death. The inexorable mathematical qualities of content creators is silent and unspoken. It is a cloudy hive mind monolith of mutual pay-pigging. Whatever sparse commissions are captured within several months of begging and aimless networking get doled out between rent, weed money, and a charity budget of paying it forward. You'll often find that people in the artist community spend a significant amount of their own money buying their peers' work out of solidarity. The purchases are almost always a symbol of hope for their own financial success. To buy your loser friend's work when you yourself can barely afford to live is like a tithe paid towards a belief that one day a much bigger pay pig will come along and reward you for a life's lazy effort towards what historically has always been a cheap hobby, a side talent meant to be mastered in congruence with an actual study or field of mastery. The Renaissance man was expected to have developed significant competence in the skills of illustration as part of a necessity in journaling their research towards studies such as anatomy, biology, mathematics, astronomy, etc. The modern illustrator barely reaches the status of an errant doodler and expects not only significant income for their scribbles, but the same respect lauded onto actual artists in history. It is a delusion spurred on by low IQ inhibitions, an incapability of absolute basic themselves, and the dense oversupply of similarly unremarkable work. It is an unsolved elementary equation of supply and demand, following around the insecure creator, haunting them behind unturned corners of introspection, a horror threatening to dissolve everything they hold dear in a ghastly, mortifying scream that echoes forever into time. Nothing special, nothing special, nothing special. The greatest hypocrisies of the content creator are shouted most loudly by the worst of this classification. An almost mathematic law can be followed. The more unsuccessful and insignificant a content creator, the harder they will screech about authorship. Unable to pass the shifting playing field, which made itself apparent, developed by the lobbying of and solely for the benefit of the same monolithic corporate entities which they claim to despise. AI is the eternal boogeyman to the content creator. Its existence and the imminent holistic of obsolescence it threatens like a storm cloud on the horizon is heralded by a horde of uncaring third-worlders which, despite their own parasitic mediocrity worsening the network, at the very least acknowledge their own work as nothing more than rote production towards a meager salary. There is some slight dignity in the ESL 11 Labs voice, narrated video essayist that cranks out endless YouTube shorts like a shrimp farmer sipping advertisements, pennies in his net. At least he understands he is a parasite. The self-deluded content creator, mostly inhabiting the West, carries a degree of undue pride. Their arrogance prevents them from mentally occupying that same status of the creative world's equivalent of an Uber driver. If they should stoop to doing firework, they carry a false dream of the temporarily embarrassed Rembrandt waiting to be discovered. They seethe impotently at the unstoppable threat that a computer program could not only freely replicate, but exceed what they spent years to do poorly. They cry out in defense of the nameless artists by which these algorithms pilfered building blocks to create image generations, as if art itself wasn't merely the combination of prior elements passed down from generation to generation. The lowest IQ content creators lash out most fearfully, unable to admit their own inability to pass between created work and AI-generated work, a phenomenon which becomes gated to higher levels of IQ with each iteration of technological improvement, because they truthfully cannot even quantify the difference which creative works have soul and which ones don't. They have drowned in imposter syndrome, force-fed the lie that art is subjective, anyone can be artist, and that anything created counts as art. These are the dying cries of a species soon to be extinguished. They will whimper into Discord chats, getting older, stupider, and more exhausted by the year, as the absolute unescapable truth of fate tightens its stranglehold over them. They are akin to nomadic diseased refugees, diagnosed with an inescapable pestilence marked upon them like boils and sores, in the mediocre soulless PFPs and banners of their own work worn like battle standards in the war against creativity itself. To those that occupy this category have read to the very end here, scoffing at every word, I applaud your ability to wield your impotent rage against your own low attention span sloth. I hope you're angry. I hope you've sent this post to each of your sodomite pot-smoking mutuals. I hope you read it and get angry too. You should apologize to the world for your existence. You should recognize that you are a walking imposition, a disease that haunts the lives of normal good people with the constant gatekeeping you do on behalf of corporations and state-sponsored media, brainwashed you into believing the dumbest ideologies, the worst memetics of authorship, and the undeserved, unapplauding sentiments that you are a creator. You are a blood-sucking mosquito, sniffing out any opportunity to pilfer undeserved income from every source, including those you pretend to call friends. I can wholeheartedly encourage you to stop creating and go off to do something significantly more meaningful with your life, such as digging ditches or working in a factory, with no fear of having deprived the world of its next greatest artist. I know this because any true artist or talented creator who has read this will agree with me and hates you even more.
To understand the other side, the pro-AI side of the argument, we must first understand the modern American tech bro. You see, the interesting thing about this argument is that while most things in America can be boiled down to the age-old argument of jocks versus nerds, this is still one of those debates. However, both sides are nerds, but both sides are jocks in their own right too. To be a jock meant that you were basically an elitist by way of your strength or athletic ability or popularity or good looks or whatever. And then to be a nerd meant that you valued more important things. You valued information, you valued learning, education, and building a better world for tomorrow, and blah, blah, blah. And for a long time, the internet was a very libertarian left thing in practice. A lot of the early web designers and founders, they believed in the democratization of information, open source, things like that. Still ideas that are very popular in the internet today, although with a lot more tens of billions of dollars attached to it, and the left side of the libertarian thing kind of goes away. Now, after the social network came out and people started throwing around the word billion around tech people very quickly realized, young people especially, that like, oh, this is the way to get rich. You learn computer science, you learn computer programming, you build an app, you do whatever, you become a founder. Very important word that will come back up later. So over the past 15 years, these tech bros have proliferated every facet of society. Or proliferated is the wrong word. These tech bros have infiltrated every facet of society. The tech bro is born with one directive, and that is to optimize. It's to optimize, it's to make it better. They can only quantify, they can only improve. They have to improve things, they have to streamline, they have to make it better, faster, stronger. They have to optimize. That's their big thing. Efficiency, cut out the middleman, disrupt. These are all phrases we hear the tech bros say. Now, I think there's enough evidence to show basically every aspect of society that they have infiltrated and that they have optimized and streamlined and made better for the consumer are all objectively worse. If you look at their first creation, social media, it's fucking terrible now. There's a boatload of videos on YouTube all explaining why better than I can. But the point is, these things just aren't fucking fun anymore. And we allowed our entire social infrastructure to be rewritten by people who didn't really have social lives in the first place. Let's be honest. And we now see what has happened with the content creator community as well, that opted into this bullshit, that just accepted it. Was like, well, if I want to get 1 million people to see my stuff, the internet's the only way. And of course it was, but that was the only option that people were given, but it's not the only option they have anymore. But the tech bro is somebody who I have known quite a few of them personally. They are a lot of times insanely good people. They are insanely smart. They have very interesting ideas. They have very liberal brains in the good way, meaning they don't get intimidated or restricted by things that are new to them. However, the bro part has started to take over more and more. Because what happened is the tech bros got money. They won the jock game. They got the hot trophy wife. They got the sick car. They got the fucking mansion. They got all this stuff. They get all this money. Even the low-level guys making $100,000, $200,000 a year. Like, holy shit, man. That's a lot of money if you're in your 20s. They get there, they beat the jock game. Even the billionaires, you could see. They have enough money to buy whole countries in Africa. They could buy a private army. They could do all types of shit. And what do they end up doing? Learning jujitsu and getting swole. Because at the end of the day, that's the only thing that will replace that masculine void that they feel. It's the same masculine void that caused them to get there in the first place. The same masculine void that causes a lot of artists to get good, or comedians to get funny, or whatever. All men are born with a hole in them. We're all born incomplete. We have to become something to be accepted by the world. Very painful fact, but it's a fact. And it's one of the few things with the manosphere dudes that I absolutely agree with. It's just what it is, cousin. And so these guys, after beating the money game and the tech game, and they're a founder and a CEO and all this other stuff, they still just want to be a buff jock. They still just want to win. That's what we're all trying to do. And a lot of the artists that are on the other side, the anti-AI side, they are doing the same thing. It's still rooted in an idea of elitism through skill. I have a skill that you don't have. I am better than you. And so here it comes, right? This is the full-on head clash of the argument here. The tech bro believes it is an injustice and it is unfair that people have the ability to create art from their heart and some people are just innately talented. This is going to sound like I'm bragging. I'm not. I genuinely don't even love this fact about myself because I find it very hard to master one thing. But I am just a generally artistically talented dude. I can pick up instruments and learn them within 6 months. I understand film, editing, the entire process of it. I've done acting, I've done painting, I've done graffiti, I've worked in virtual reality type stuff. Like, I can just do the shit. It's all I can do. I'm fucking useless any other way. But I don't ultimately mind because I am in control of my life as a result. I wake up when I want to, or when my son wants me to, and I make my own schedule. I live freely. I create the things I want to live, or that I want to make. And this is something that can't really be replaced with billions of dollars. Would I certainly love more money? Of course I would. Who fucking wouldn't? But dollars to donuts, most true artists you're gonna meet, they would do the shit for free. And if you gave them a free roof over their head and a fucking ham sandwich every 8 hours or something, and just let them create, that's what they would do. Most true artists would do it for free anyway, which is why this shit is priceless when it's amazing. It holds a value and a quality that is beyond all human measure. We have no earthly, physical, tangible way to measure its value because its value is something in the heart and the soul. Even soulless tech bros know this. Even tech bros understand, because more and more as you've watched it go, they get the money, they get the girls, they live that winning, conquering life, but it's not enough. It's not enough. And this is what I was saying earlier about myself. Sorry, I'm an asshole, I know. But I have never gotten rich off of my art. I have never, I've won some awards for different various things. I've been interviewed and all that, but like, the truth of the matter is, the only thing that really matters to me is, number one, I get to create the things I want and I don't have to answer to anybody about it. But number two, I've done a lot within my artist community in the real world for years and years. And I've lost thousands of dollars taking chances on other people and stuff like that. But it got me respect. And the problem is you get in this manosphere way of looking at the world and you think that an alpha means you're strong and that you can beat other dudes up or they're afraid of you or whatever it is. But the truth is, being an alpha is about being a leader. It's like, do the other wolves follow you? And I had a lot of people that followed me and listened to my, the decisions I wanted to make and went along with me on my big plans. And I didn't look at it like being an alpha. I looked at it as these people respect me and I owe them for that. And I think the big crux of all of this is that tech bros know that they have changed the world. They've changed how we get places. They've changed how we communicate, how we watch things, how we listen to things, where we stay. They've changed everything. And nobody respects them for it. Nobody respects it because deep down we know all of these fancy changes. Like, dude, we conquered the whole talk to people in China thing 20 fucking years ago. We could do it before that. Like, tech bros are now starting to be trapped under the ever-pressing ceiling of asymptotic growth. For those of you that don't know, and I don't even know the technical definition, but it's effectively just the idea of how much better can things get when you have a thing in your pocket, a fucking computer that was more powerful than most of the computers I learned how to use them on. Everybody has it. Everybody can order anything from anywhere at any time, and it'll be there within a couple days. A literal fucking robot drone can bring it to your house sometimes. But where do we go from here? How much better does it get when your refrigerator can automatically order your groceries, when AI can just rewrite your post for you and all this other stuff? How much better does it get? We're reaching the limits of where technology can go. Now, I understand we still have a long way to go, and I'm not talking about medical things here. I'm not talking about nuclear, robotic shit. I'm not talking about all that. Those guys are not tech bros. Those dudes are fucking scientists, okay? I'm talking about everyday use, content platforms, things that we just use in our homes. Have things actually improved that much? Like, streaming has just gone back to TV. They don't even give you the full season anymore. And there's more commercials. And you have to pay them and there's still commercials. Like movies, I'm not one of those big haters of Hollywood and shit like that because, I'm always trying to get in there. But at the end of the day, though, movies really fucked up by letting streaming happen the way it did. And during COVID, putting their big flagship theater movies into streaming. And doing it like a week after. Like, what is the benefit of that other than just the streaming platform, which probably has a large stake in the studio? And then we get to the big rub of it all, which is just this hyper capitalism, this just all things must be profit all of the time. And it's no longer about selling a product because so many of these things are vertically integrated and so intertwined because they're all bought by these massive conglomerates and hedge funds that, like, it's no longer about individual product and individual sale. It's about taking over your fucking life. It's about taking over your entire home and listening to everything you say and watching everything you do and everything you click on so they can sell that data. And that's what they've been doing for 15 years. And every little fucking thing you see, every, teenage girl that unalived herself because of Instagram, every person that had their business ruined because of one mad person on Yelp or whatever, somewhere down the line, you follow the fucking paper trail and there's a tech bro on the other end of it. A dude that just went, yes sir, to make his fucking boss happy, to optimize something, to turn people into fucking numbers more. And that's why people fucking hate you guys. That's why we all fucking hate you and we don't respect you, no matter your intelligence or your contribution to the world. I know Facebook has done some good. I fucking love YouTube. YouTube's the greatest goddamn thing in the world. But it's like, yo man, where do we go from here? Where do we go? And nobody's got an answer because you guys are too busy wiping your asses with $100 bills. And all of you ran to AI because, of course, that's where we go. Of course. When everything can do everything for you, what's left other than your thoughts, your inspiration, your thinking? And truthfully, this is just a sidebar, but you can always tell the real creepy technology people by how much they love cyberpunk. look, I love neon lights and fucking girls with Skrillex haircuts as much as the next guy. But the fact is, if you can look at most of Gibson's work or, Bruce Sterling or any of these people in the video games and look at the dystopian nature and the police states and people just hooked up to wires and all that and be like, yeah, sick. You're fucking crazy. You're fucking crazy, and I don't want you in charge of interfacing the human experience, okay? That's fucking weird, and there's so many people, and then this also gets into transhumanism. There's so many people that just absolutely despise humanity, and they just see it as something to be conquered. Humanity, life, weakness, flaws, these are all things that are just as important as their counterpoint. But they are all simply weaknesses to the tech bro. These are things to be conquered. They're a nerd to bully. A thing to do just to see if they could do it. And to quote the great fictional Dr. Ian Malcolm, chaotician, you guys are so concerned with whether or not you could that you never stop to think if you should. And this is the overwhelming hubris of the tech bro that has crashed our world into insanity. And I hold you guys responsible because you fucking are. Your billionaire bosses were always going to do this shit. You guys were supposed to be the ones smart enough to see it and outsmart it. Now, I also understand a lot of you probably scared and want to fall in line after seeing what happens to Aaron Swartz and a lot of other founders that step a little too far outside of bounds. I get it. Boomers are anti-technology. I am pro-technology. I am. I'm very old school, Occupy Wall Street era hacker type. But all in all, the tech bro, and this is a big tangent, so I'm sorry, but it needs to be said. You need to be able to understand this mindset to now understand what they're going to say about AI art. So when everybody starts sharing the Ghibli memes, because of course they love Ghibli, tech bros love superhuman, flowery, earthy feeling shit now because they think it will ensoul them. They love doing photography and shit now, and they take up all these little hobbies because they're rich and have nothing else to do. And so when the Ghibli thing, pops out, they go, oh, now I can do it too. And look, art is accessible, which again, it's been accessible if that's your definition for 3 years now. Mid-Journey exists. All of these different things exist. I could easily make that style in another AI. But to them, the skill of art is something that was gate kept from them. And up until now, it was something that they couldn't type their way out of it. They couldn't make a little algebra algorithm to give them what gives artists what they have. Now, I'm willing to concede 100% that the people on the weeb, troon porn side are, not a lot of them are real artists at all. They're simply people who are skilled. But if you simply use AI art and you simply just type a fucking sentence into something, download it, post it, and call it your art like you worked on it or something, people are gonna think you're fucking goofy. People are gonna think you're fucking goofy. They're gonna think you're stupid. I already talked about the difference between AI film and typing and prompting and all that. You guys know where I stand on it, okay? But even I feel goofy sometimes with some of the videos I've made because I just made them for fun. I was just fucking around, but I was like, damn, this is actually really good. And I made it in 3 hours. But is that wrong? Is that wrong to want to optimize your workflow? I've spent a year working on a 20-minute short film, and yes, I learned a lot. And the value of that time certainly had something, but knowing what I know now, I could have fucking made 4 of them in that time. I could have made way more, and I'm not even talking about with AI. So it's I'm approaching 40 years old. Do I have the time to spend a year on one thing? Now that year, it's not like it was the only thing I did. I had a lot of other stuff going on. Regardless though, it doesn't matter. Until the time of completion, that's the time it took. And took is the key word. It took that time because time only gets taken. It never gets given back. But now we have a technology that can do that. Now we have a technology that can save that. But the film didn't take a year because I was learning how to make a film in real time. I already knew how, but there was more things to be learned. That's why I love film. But the tech bro cannot understand something that just simply comes from the heart. And because of Steve Jobs, and the fucking Bob Dylan lyrics and the fucking Ridley Scott trailer for the Mac. He was the first guy to equate the tech shit with art and say that creating technology, that these things of technology are works of art. Now, can a product be a work of art, a consumer product? Yeah, I think so, I guess. You know what I mean? But like, that's where this mentality started of like, well, I'm not just a computer programmer or an engineer, I'm also an artist. It's like, oh, word? The tech bro though, their whole thing is now art is accessible. And this gets you into a very creepy, weird realm of people. And these are people who just flat out have been bitter and hateful for decades and decades and decades at real artists. And you could tell. You could tell. I've heard it in person. Looking back now, I've rethought different interactions I've had. And it's like, yeah, man, they fucking hate that you can do what you do. And that most of the time you were probably born with it. You didn't have to go through 4 years of school. And, you know, I never had to work as hard as probably a lot of the computer scientists did to get their entry-level job. That shit's hard, man. It's hard. I'm legally retarded when it comes to math. I can never, literally never do that job. And it's not like oh, well, if you just put your mind to it and blah, blah, blah. Yeah, of course, everybody can do that with everything. Everybody can just go learn, you know, go to the best school, get the best teachers, just learn shit. But do you want to? Is it really that important? Is getting tech bro money as important to me as the years and time it would take to become a tech bro? Fucking no. No. But the years and the money that art has given me and that I've given it, it's still worth it. Because it does something for my soul. It's beyond that. And so a lot of these tech bros just don't get that just because you made a picture doesn't mean you're a fucking artist now, man. It doesn't. And the way that a lot of you guys use this shit, it's just for a quick dopamine hit. But the way that most artists use their art is a way to kind of excise a demon. It's a way, the process of creating the thing, the little step-by-step of getting to your pure vision. But it's simply going, oh, it's the Lord of the Rings trailer in the style of Ghibli. Like, yo, man, it's a great video. It's a great piece of content. That's not fucking art. It's not. That's not art to me. Fan art in general isn't art to me. It's in a class of its own. It's fan art. It's art that only exists if something else does. It's not truly new and creative. It doesn't bring new things to the table. But because we live in the content economy, because we've ceded so much of how we look at art to the tech bro mentality, to the optimized mentality of, well, you know, now we don't actually even show your followers shit because we have this whole discovery layer to get through now. But it's for your own good because it's for the consumer, right? And it's just like, yo, man, you're neither. Like, you're fucking neither. The artist or the consumer, but you dictate everything. And that's why we hate you. That's why we hate you. Sam Altman, we hate you. You know we do. You know why. Elon, come on. Zuckerberg? You guys made the world fucking worse. And after you ruined everything else, you're showing up to art to ruin it too. That's how they feel. That's how they feel about you. All because you couldn't just pick up a pen. And you guys take this pussy fucking stance of like, well, it wasn't accessible and it wasn't fair that other people could brr, 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 brr. It's like, yeah, bro, it's not fair that you know algebra. It's not fair that you know the things you know. The only difference between you and an artist that you're trying to imitate is that artist is scraping by, fighting tooth and nail to get a little bit of money. Even the ones that seem successful, even the ones that seem, the musicians that seem like they're making money, dude, the fucking dicks they have to eat just to get what they get. It's why they get more respect than someone like you who provides all this clear charts and data of value and, oh, look at our number, optimize, everything's better, oh, numbers are going up. But nobody respects it because it's not worthy of respect. Get the fuck over yourself. Get over yourself, tech bro guy, okay? We're not here for it anymore. We're not here for it. However, I say all that to say, you deserve to make AI art. You do deserve that. And you deserve to feel however it makes you feel. I do believe that everybody deserves to be able to make art. But it's just funny that like you guys could basically take over the world. Your thought process and mind patterns and pathways to your different... It's interfaced with the whole world now. You guys have so much power. And it's like car mechanics. Like, people don't pay a mechanic to fix their car. They pay because they don't know how to fucking fix their car. And you guys had this mysterious language that you spoke for decades and decades that we normal people didn't understand. It was like priests speaking Latin or only reading Latin Bibles in the Dark Ages. But now, it's like it's all caught up with you, man. It's reached its logical conclusion. And the other thing about AI is like the guys that worship it and ask Grok for everything or ask ChatGPT, like, you know they fucking lie, right? You know those things just lie. Like, it's not really a person or an intelligence. And I'm like amazed by it, by the way. I think AI is like incredible and like really interesting and stuff. And it's doing so many other good things. But what's really interesting is that the first fucking person that the animal attacks when it's let out of the cage is the people that created it. Tech bros are the first people whose jobs are in danger from AI, which proves the greatest point of all, which is that if AI is a danger to your job wasn't that valuable to society. It was just necessary. But there's a big fucking difference. And that's what the artists don't get, is that no matter what, man, technology passes you by. And we are reaching a new era of the apex creator. All the directors that were chained by money people, by people with technical skills overcharging, people that are obsessed with credit, and that's the other thing I gotta go into real fast. If you're trying to make a super creative project and it requires multiple people, please, please, please be wary of people who are obsessed with getting credit. They will always do the least. They are always annoying. They are never worth the trouble. People that are obsessed with credit, it's like one of those, it's like having to go around telling people you're smart. Like, if you were smart, you wouldn't have to say it. So it's like, if you're the creator of the thing, you wouldn't need to be obsessed with credit because people just know. Again, respect. So, let me wrap up this so I can get another shot in. The tech bro, though, believes that it's unfair that art has been gate kept and that now he can do it. And you know, here's the other thing. I've been a little unfair to the tech bros. It's a lot more people than just them. There's a lot of dudes that climb up a fucking telephone pole every day or work at a fucking factory or pour cement for a living. And they get home and their fucking arms can barely move because they work so hard. No, they don't have time to pick up a pen. But sometimes they have an idea and maybe they want that expressed. Is that wrong? Are they fucking pieces of shit for that? I don't think so. I don't think so. The tech bros deserve to have their stuff. But let me just wrap up on the apex creator thing. We are entering an age where if you are a director, you have a big vision. And I'm not talking about a big painting. I'm talking about like something that really hasn't been done before, some type of huge interactive live event, or a festival, or a fucking film, or a TV show, or a platform of some kind. Like, you are now unleashed. If you've ever, the same way in music 10 years ago with FL and Splice and all these other programs, you started to see the rise of these like Ghostmane type rappers. And they were dudes that were like in metal bands, and they were the strongest link in the band. They were the only dude that actually wanted to do some shit. I've seen so many fucking bands to where it's just like one guy dragging 4 other retarded assholes kicking and screaming to their own success. And like, those dudes have been liberated by the proliferation of technology. Which, by the way, music was using AI before anyone was, and they sure seem to shut the fuck up about that. But I say all that to say, the apex creator, the people that are truly driven by their vision, that will sacrifice anything, that will give any amount of money, any amount of time to get their vision across, those people are freed, and they are no longer chained to you people who are simply skilled. Like, okay, you're a concept artist. That's cool. I have a ton of respect for concept artists. I love looking at concept art. Brings me a lot of joy and inspiration. Not trying to shit on them too, but what the fuck do we need you for anymore? Like, seriously, I have a database that scraped every content, or every concept artist stuff. Realistically, what do I need you for? Other than the novelty of saying that, well, yeah, I had a real human concept artist and I paid him $2,000 for 8 pictures that never made it in the movie. It doesn't make sense, man. It's not about right or wrong. It's about making fucking sense. Because in most cases with art, in the shit that we're talking about that matters, we're also talking about capitalism. And technology has changed capitalism. And so anything that falls within that framework, which is everything, has to change too. Doesn't make it right. Doesn't make it right. Just makes it what it is, cousin.
This what it is.
But the apex creator, that age is coming. The guys that don't want to wait on someone else's schedule, that don't want to have to pay money and then get a result back that fucking sucks. Now they got to haggle with the dude. You know what I mean? We don't need to do that anymore, and that's a great thing, and that's gonna make new and great, exciting art. Because most of the art that's been made is culturally irrelevant. It doesn't matter because it's just put into the content pipeline. As soon as we called it content, the battle was fucking over. That's it. Thing is, I've used a lot of AI tools in my AI film journey and stuff like that, and I've spent a good amount of time in the AI art community. And as I said before, a lot of the best people in this world are the people that they were artists before. This is just another tool to them. It's just another thing. However, the problem is a lot of these AI companies that make these different tools that do this different stuff care very little about the mediums of art in which they're stepping into, and they're just simply interested in selling their products. Again, it's that founder mentality. And so you find a lot of the pro AI people, a lot of the way that it's sort of advertised and pushed is this very threatening, ominous, well, bro, you're not ready. It's fucking over for graphic designers, or it's over for this or that. And they're so obsessed with that like disruption mentality and that like conquering of something. But like art simply is not a game. It's not something that can be beaten. It's not something that can be conquered. Creation is not that. Now you can beat capitalism using art, I guess. But like creativity is the ultimate form of rebellion. You're taking something out of non-existence and making it a thing. You know what I mean? Is a Ghibli meme as worth it as like this fucking plaque that someone made for me out of glass off of one of my like articles I got written? Is it worth this fucking beautiful, amazing vinyl record my friend made that he got recorded in a professional studio with professional session players and musicians, that he wrote every single note himself? Is that worth as much something as that was made on Suno with a fucking paragraph? It's like, of course not, man. Of course not. AI was designed not to make art, but it was designed to make content. And the big implication of this whole argument, why people hate AI and are scared of it, is the idea that art isn't important anymore. And that's simply not true. Art is actually more important than ever. But content is not important. And if your stuff is on the internet, it is content. As I said with the age of the apex creator and stuff like that, a big aspect of that is not just creating the thing, but being able to distribute it on your own as well. And as the news tightens on social media platforms and they censor themselves, and these AI companies censor themselves, and these AI companies start making bigger and bigger mistakes that affect larger and larger amounts of people, because half of the people running it are just not even, they're just not normal humans. They're not people who think about things like humans do in a normal way, which is why they're actually really bad at stress testing this stuff. They're actually really bad at testing AI. They give it all types of tricky logic loops and shit like that, but they just don't even think about what somebody that's normal might do with it. And that's why the internet sucks now. That's why social media platforms suck now, because it's not made for the consumer anymore. It's just made to make money. And so if you opt into that game and you choose to do that, like, yeah, man, you're going to get railroaded by some technology eventually. But if you're a real creative, and it doesn't really matter what you're creating in, and you have ideas that are bigger than any one medium, you know, like to the webtoon people, it's like, yeah, man, I'm sorry that a machine can do what you do now, but like, that's the best you came up with? You're going to go around puffing your chest out, acting like a fucking artist in like a, you know, real earth-shattering thing when like you make disposable webtoons, you make shit you drew on an iPad. You need the internet just as much to get your stuff out there. So who are you mad at? Like, who are you really mad at? And to the tech bro, well, I just went in on you guys for 30 minutes, so you know how I feel about that. But the point is, the future is going to hold a lot of weird things. And I think a lot of real artists need to understand, this is going to seem out there, but I've already talked to some people who are kind of in that world and seem to think this is where it would go too. The internet will be largely populated by AI. But that also means that a lot of your audience is now going to be AI. Like, if AGI happens on any level, it will become interested in art. It won't just create things, it'll view things too. And it might actually like our stuff more because it can't do that. It can only approximate. Even if it can ideate, it can't do it from a human perspective. It can't feel emotions like that. Because our emotions are not just programmed responses either. Our emotions are biologically programmed responses. They're chemicals that are getting released. This thing doesn't have that, at least as far as I know. But I personally believe that all artists need to start taking their stuff off the internet, or at least their best stuff. If your stuff is on the internet right now, AI companies are stealing it and training their stuff with it, with the intention of monopolizing that skill set. All they know how to do is conquer. All they know how to do is consume. Tech bros and that whole thing, they stopped creating wonderful things a long time ago. And it makes me very, very sad. I hate the state of social media now. I hate that there's no new app to go on. Every new app is just an iteration of another app. All apps do the same thing, just worse than the one before it. And it's because probably the best and brightest and most creative in those fields just went where the money is, right? So they went to AI. But now we're just stuck in this zone where everything sucks. You don't enjoy being on social media anymore. And it's like half of the memes you see are advertisements, and it's terrible. And these social media companies, they just make money off of our stuff. But now they just make money of us trying to show people our stuff. At first, when it was social media, it was media built out of the user's social experience. That was its intention. And because people's lives were so interesting, posting them on the internet meant people wanted to watch it. But now everyone's just on the internet. No one's life is that interesting anymore. And a lot of them, if they are, they're either a successful YouTuber or they're just not on the internet. But I wonder if you live in New York or, you know, Baltimore or any like East Coast city or any, you know, walkable West Coast city, if that's a thing, how much more money street performers make than the musicians toiling away with SoundCloud and Spotify. You know, that's the world I come from mainly, is the music world, and technology has wrecked it, man. Technology has wrecked it. Live music, it's a different story, a lot of nuance. We'll do a different video about that, but technology is reaching this fulcrum where it's backsliding, and it's just simply profit motive. And that's the exact mentality that got art to the point where people thought it needed to be liberated by the internet. Time is a flat circle. Everything works in cycles. But I think that you should get your best stuff off the internet and you should try to sell it to people in real life. And it's hard. It's very hard. I think if you make movies, you should try to show them to people in real life. You know, we need to stop giving everything over to them. We need to stop ceding all of this territory to them. Because also, as soon as they dominated the advertising and marketing business, that's a lot of the game is over at that point. Because that's what every little fucking guru online that updates you on the algorithm changes. What a soulless fucking existence that is. Just to let people know, like, here's how you can gamify and trick this fucking thing into showing your followers the stuff that you have. Like, how fucked is that? I used to be able to just see the stuff from people I followed. Now it's some random jumbled thing. Tech bros. You guys did that. That's why we all hate you. You build things and fix them until they're broken and then move on to the next thing. And weeb artists that make the two, if AI is threatening your fucking art career, like, your art career is probably not that steady or stable to begin with, man. I'm sorry. Like, I'm fucking sorry. That's it. I've never once worried about AI taking my job. Because I'm an idea guy. I have fucking ideas. I keep having ideas. I don't only make things in the realm of anime. I don't only make things in the realm of drawing or whatever. Like, I'm multifaceted. And the future is going to benefit artists like me far more than it's going to benefit people that just want to be the part of a greater whole. And I'm not trying to demean or disrespect that either. People that do that have contributed in immeasurable amounts to the art that I've loved and grew up with and stuff like that. But the times, they are a-changing. You know, I love 80s movies and 70s movies and some early 90s because that was the peak of matte paintings. Like, I love matte paintings. They're so cool. And I love when I find out that a shot that I loved in a movie was a matte painting and I couldn't tell. But, like, that's not around anymore, you know what I mean? And has film in general suffered for it? Maybe. I suppose so, in some ways. Do the films feel less human, maybe? I don't know. Because I've seen CG painted black backgrounds that are still great. And I'll see AI ones that are great too. So, the idea that a technology in its current state is the cemented way to do that is only justified by the people that take it that far. There are still shoe cobblers in the world. There are still chefs that make everything out of their own garden. There are still people who own vinyl stores. There are still people who appreciate this thing or that thing or 16 millimeter film. There's just not a lot of them. But those are the people that have chosen to take up the mantle for that one thing and try and preserve it through time. And there's a lot of honor and dignity in that, in my opinion. I respect that a lot. And I think that artists are going to have a hard time going forward not being able to do that because their entire artist career existed in the digital world. There was nothing physical to it, so it can't survive anywhere else. And that's going to have to change. And I do think that you can't be anti-AI and not pro-physical media at the same time. If you want AI to go away and not consume everything, then you better start investing in canvases, in like infrastructure and real world ways to get your art out there that aren't just the internet, because AI will just take over the internet. It's already happening. And one final thing, you're probably saying, but Timeline Junkie, you've talked for a fucking hour now and you haven't mentioned Ghibli in a long time. Here's my final thoughts on the Ghibli debate. Studio Ghibli should fucking sue, and I think they can. I think they have legitimate grounds to sue. I think they should. They should at least try to get a big paycheck out of this, because I don't think there's any untraining in AI. I think once an AI is trained, it's just like, I don't know, somebody, if you're in the comments or whatever, let me know. But there's no untraining it. The damage has already been done. And the fact is, you're not typing in, can you make me an abstract picture or an oil painting style or something like that no one really owns, but like You have to literally type the fucking place's name to get the desired result. That should be grounds for getting fucking sued right there. And now you've got this whole group of people on the tech side of things that hate copyright. And like, my feelings are mixed on it. It's such a complicated subject, but like, all of a sudden, because you want to make a fucking Ghibli meme, we have to undo the idea of intellectual property that's been around since like the 1500s. Like, get fucked, dude. What? And it comes down to this. If you don't care about free speech, you probably don't have shit to say. If you don't care about intellectual property rights, you probably never have any intellectual property. You've never done anything original or new. So why would it matter to you to protect something that is an idea that just because people think it good doesn't mean they should be in charge of it? So that's ridiculous. But Studio Ghibli, my heart goes out to them. I think that this was a really dirty, gross situation for them. I think that them specifically, I know I went in on the webtoon people, but like, the artists that work at Studio Ghibli, like, oh man, they're fucking artists. Like, there's no two ways about it. And they do what they do with class and integrity. And I've watched it change people's lives, dude. Like, I've watched it make my stepdaughters cry. Like, you can't argue with it. And the way that OpenAI just simply thumbed their nose at that and simply scoffed at it and tried to make a mockery of it and do the whole, ha ha ha, look, we can do it too. That's fucking gross. That isn't what art is about. And if you guys think that's what it is, and you think art is just simply something to be conquered so you can enslave the rest of the world with your fucking algorithms and useless bullshit to sell us useless bullshit that we don't fucking need and pollute the planet more, that's why you will go to bed at night knowing that no one fucking respects you. Not your job, not your car, not your fucking position, but you. The soul inside the person. People don't respect it because you never took the time to reach across and see another person's humanity. And that's what art does. It creates empathy and humanity bridges between people, and it connects. And what you guys have done is divide things. Just because people got some laughs out of their Ghibli memes and got to see, hey, look, baby, I sent you a picture of us in the Ghibli style. Look, man, I'm not going in on them because they don't know any better. Most people are just trying to fucking have fun on the internet and just kill some time at work. You know what I mean? Doesn't make it right, but like, I get it, and I'm not mad at those people. But the people that are like doing this shit, like the guy that makes the Lord of the Rings in Ghibli style trailer, like that dude's an impeccable editor, man. He's good, but I've made a shot-for-shot remake of a trailer before. Like, it's not fucking hard. It's not hard. He could have done that in 3 days. And it's a mockery of the time it would have taken to draw those frames in the Ghibli style, and the time and the energy and artistry and craft that went into the Lord of the Rings and the costumes and the set locations. And that's why people just don't respect AI art. And until AI art starts creating some new, original, interesting IP that can mimic something that comes from the heart, or it does really come from the heart and AI was just used as a tool, nothing will change. And it will just be something that can mimic and imitate the way that you are mimicking and imitating having a fucking soul. So, both sides of this argument, get wrecked. I fucking hate you. Tech bros hate you a little bit more, but the weeb shit is so fucking played out. And do not go around talking to people about original art when everything that your career is built out of is a copy of a copy of a copy of some shit that happened in the fucking Atari days or early Akira anime days. Like, get fucked. Yeah, I think that's all I gotta say. Get your stuff off the internet. Get your best work off of the internet. Don't go into art if you think you're gonna have a career out of it. It'll either happen or it won't. But you're not really in control of that anymore. So, yeah. Like, subscribe, tell me to go fuck myself. Do whatever you gotta do. But I'm getting off here. Peace.